Hi. So like I said, this is Financial Aid 101, funding a college education. This, like I said, is more geared toward your class, so you'll see slides that will be specific for the class of 2019. Throughout this presentation, if anytime you have a question, you can feel free to send me an email, drop me a text. You can also follow me on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at efarmertsacse. This slide will also be up at the end of the presentation as well if you don't get it now. But also, if you'd like me to email you this presentation, I can do so. Just send me an email and I can send you a PDF copy of this presentation itself, or you can actually find this presentation on YouTube. So, freshmen, this is an exciting time. You're at a new school, but also when you graduate high school and going on to college, you'll be finding it's a new school as well. You'll be meeting new friends again. Now with college, they all will serve a lot of free stuff, and a lot of times it's pizza. You also will probably be drinking a lot of coffee, trying to stay up at night, and doing your studies and whatnot. But before you get to that point, you have to find a school. So you first start looking, and you might find a school that costs about this much. Then you look some more, and you find one like this. Then you find your perfect school. You think it's perfect. You're like, oh man, this is great. I love this. It's got everything I need. And you realize how much it really is. So then you come to the school with your parents. You try to figure out if you can actually afford it. And you realize you have nothing but pennies. And then the panic sets in. So hopefully after tonight, I can get you on the pathway of not feeling this way at all. So, your 9th and 10th grade year, you're pretty much doing the same thing during the fall and spring. What you can do is try to start the year off with a bang. Don't kind of slack into it. Just go ahead and try to do your best that freshman year and your sophomore year. During this time, you also want to start looking at different colleges. You might not know a lot about colleges right now. You might have only heard about them through different sports teams. You might have an older brother or sister that went to a particular one. But start researching some on your own. Just kind of figure out, hey, I like this. This school would be cool to go to school here. Or it might be, like with my case, I like the sun and I like Florida and things like that. So I was looking at Florida schools. So you might want to say, hey, I want to move out to California or do whatever. Start looking at schools just to see what they have. Also start looking at different scholarships. Even though you might not be able to apply for them, just see what's out there. See what kind of money they award for scholarships. When you get back from the winter break, you want to continue to do well in class. Like I said, don't let it slack off because your grades are going to count from day one. So you don't want to slack off. Try to do your best in your classes. When you come across different tests, like standardized testing, like the TCAP or Gateway or whatever you have to take the test seriously. This is going to be preparation for a major test that you'll have to take in the 11th and 12th grade called the ACT or the SAT. By you taking those tests seriously, it's prepping you to be ready for those other standardized tests to help you get into college. You want to continue researching local and private scholarships, not applying to them, but just kind of seeing what's out there. And of course, don't get the end of school itis where you just don't want to do anything. End it with a bang and get ready for the next year. You'll come across some financial aid terms as you go through your research, like cost of attendance, which is actually what it means, how much it costs to attend a particular school. EFC, don't worry about it right now. But it's something that is geared toward that you'll hear with the FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Just remember, this is something you got to fill out your senior year. When you fill out the FAFSA, you'll have to have an FSA ID. This is how you log into your FAFSA and sign your FAFSA at the very end. You'll get a report, which is called a student aid report. The three things you do want to know about is the financial aid. Like in financial aid, the money that you actually get is either going to be in the form of a grant, a loan, or a scholarship. So those three terms are something you want to even know now. Grants are free money based upon need. You have no control over them. If you receive them or not, you have no control. Loans is money that you borrow that you got to pay back. Now, with the loans, you're going to get a loan when you fill out your FAFSA. So it's going to be there, but still use that as a last resort. The one thing you want to focus on is scholarships. That's free money based upon what you do. And I'll get back to that in a minute. And two other terms you might hear is verification and work study. Don't worry about those right now. Verification is going to be an audit of your FAFSA. Work study is money received from campus employment. What you do want to focus on, like I said before, is the free money, the scholarships. Scholarships are based upon what you do from the first day of your high school career to the last day, either with grades, what you do skill-wise, if you're an athlete, a musician, an artist, you've joined different clubs and organizations, even your own personal unique characteristics. There's a height scholarship. If you're male and you're 6'2" or taller, there's a scholarship for that. If you're a female, 5'10" or taller, there's a scholarship for that. If you have asthma, allergies, ADHD, you have a specific liver disorder, a cancer survivor, dependent on a cancer survivor, those are all scholarships attached to that. Also, if you're left-handed, there's a scholarship out there. There's all these different scholarships based upon unique characteristics. There's even more out there that I have not mentioned. So you want to kind of look and see what's out there. The reason why you're looking is so that you can have your cost of attendance paid. When people think about the cost of attendance, a lot of time they just stop at the tuition. But the tuition is only allowing you to sit in class. There's 5 other factors you have to think about when you think about your cost of attendance. This is what's going to make up how much you're going to pay to go to school, or how much it's going to cost for you to go to school. You might actually have to pay this, but this is how much you're going to cost. Hopefully you don't have to pay the whole amount because you're going to get enough scholarship and financial aid money to cover this. When you start looking around at the different colleges, it's going to have everything lined up for you about their cost of attendance, and this is their official cost. Once again, this is not something that you might have to pay, but this gives you an idea of how much it might cost to go to these different institutions. When you start looking and got an idea of what your cost of attendance will be, you have to come up with a package to cover your cost. And so what you'll do is you'll look at different areas. You look at the federal government, the state, the private sources, and the institutions themselves to come up with a package to cover your cost of attendance. When you look at the institution, they have different types of aid out there. They have academic, which is based upon your grades. These are competitive, they're renewable, and they do have deadlines. So while you do your researches early, you can kind of figure out what type of grades are needed to get the academic scholarships, so that you can have a goal to reach for by the time that you're a senior. There are need-based scholarships, which you have no control over. Once again, you just hopefully that, you might be in a situation where you do qualify for those. You have performance scholarships, which are based upon your skill, and you have attribute scholarships based upon some type of affiliation that you're with, like if you go to the same church and that college that you're going to is the same affiliation, has the same church affiliation as you do. There's a scholarship for that. There's alumni scholarships, and where you are going to a school that your parents have graduated from. There's diversity scholarships, not just ethnicity, but also gender scholarships if you're going into a field that is dominated by the opposite sex. And then if you have multiple siblings going to the same school, you can either get a discount or a scholarship for that as well. Where you look for the private aid is pretty much 4 different areas. You have your school council, your guidance counselor will have information about different scholarships. If they have time as your freshman and sophomore year, just go in and kind of look at the scholarships if they don't have it on a website. Most of them will have it on a website or give you an email. Also look at other high school websites. Don't be afraid. It's not illegal. It's not unethical. You're just using that high school website as a resource. But also look at scholarship search engines and databases. They're awesome. They're going to be a phenomenal resource for that way. Just to let you know, though, if you decide to register with a scholarship database such as FastWeb, it's going to ask for an email account, your email. I would actually set up a secondary email account just for scholarships, because FastWeb will inundate your email account with their scholarships. I did this a couple years ago, or several years ago, with my son, and within the first week I had over 50 emails from FastWeb. So you just want to have to set that aside. Okay. When we're talking about email addresses, let me give you a little pointer. When you apply to the different scholarships, in these different colleges and universities, they don't get to see you. So they make a prejudgment based upon what they see on the application. In saying that, you want to put your best foot forward. So you might want to consider changing your email address or getting a more professional one. They don't want to see email addresses like Twerk Queen or Sexy Mama or Honey Baby or anything like that. So make it more professional. The reason why I say this is that I see these types of emails when I go to college fairs. And the college reps do kind of look at that in a low disregard. So put your best foot forward and get a professional email. So here's the FAFSA again. Now I actually changed the dates so that you can kind of see what this will look like. So the class of 2019, you'll be filling out the 2019-20 FAFSA. The first time you can do this is January 1st of 2019. And you want to do it as soon as possible after January 1st of 2019. That website that you'll go to is FAFSA.gov. You can actually go to this website now to get more information, but do not fill out the FAFSA. Just look at it, read the information on there so you can kind of know what you're going to get into. When you complete FAFSA, here are some things that you'll be applying for. These amounts might be different by the time that you graduate, but just know that the lower that EFC number that I mentioned earlier that is concerned with the FAFSA, the lower that number is, the better chance of receiving need-based money. That EFC is actually is comprised of a formula that has your income as a student, the parent's income, the household size, how many people in the household, and how many people in the household are going to college. That determines your EFC. It's some formula that I'm not quite sure of or understanding of, but they somehow come up with this number. And that number can range anywhere from 0 to 99,999. So, like I said before, you have no control over those 5 factors. So as you apply for the federal, the grant money, you apply, don't plan on getting it, but if you get it, that's extra. So you have the federal Pell Grant, the SEOG, and the work study are all need-based programs. Once you also fill out the FAFSA, you also will get the loans. So you have subsidized, unsubsidized, and Parent Plus. The subsidized means that the federal government pays your interest while you're in school, so there's no interest will accrue. Unsubsidized means that you're responsible for the interest while you're in school, so the interest does accrue. And with the Parent Plus, it's just an extra loan based upon the parent's credit score that has a higher interest rate, and the interest does accrue while you're in school. You also have the Hope Scholarship when you fill out your FAFSA. Right, as of right now, that is the application for the Hope Scholarship. If you decide to, and as of right now, if you decide to go to a 2-year school, you'll get $1,500 per semester. Right now, you still need an ACT score of 21 or a GPA of 3.0. If I were you right now, I would actually gun for both of them so that you have a 3.0 and the 21. There's always been talk every year about changing the or to an and. To make sure that you're ready, if that does happen, go ahead and gun from both of them. Go ahead and try to at least have a 21 ACT score and a 3.0 GPA. Actually, your GPA and ACT score should be higher. But just for the Hope Scholarship, you can let's have a 3.0 or 21 as of right now. There's 2 supplements to the Hope Scholarship, the General Assembly Merit Scholarship, which is GAMS, and the Aspire Award. As of right now, GAMS is $500 per semester if you have a 29 and a 3.75 GPA. The Aspire Award is $250 per semester if your household adjusted gross income is $36,000 or less. Now, unfortunately, if you qualify for both, you only will get one, and in this case, you would get the GAMS because it gives you the higher amount. If you decide to go to a 4-year, all the requirements stay the same. The amounts change a little. For the Hope Scholarship, if you're classified as a freshman or sophomore, it's $1,750 per semester, or if you're classified as a junior or senior, it's $2,250 per semester. For the GAMS, it's still $500 per semester. However, for the Aspire, it's $750 per semester. But once again, if you qualify for both, You only receive one, but in this case, you'll get the Aspire Award. So, some other state aid that you apply for when you fill out your FAFSA is the Hope Access, just in case you don't quite have the 21 ACT score or the 3.0 GPA, but you have to have at least an 18, a 2.75, and the adjusted gross income of $36,000 or less. A75 if you decide to go to a community college, $1,250 per semester if you decide to go to a four-year university. If you are wanting to go to the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, it's $2,000 per year if you enroll in a certificate or diploma program at the TCAT. And then the TSAA is our state grant. And as of right now, you have to have a 0 EFC in order to qualify for it. And that amount ranges anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 per year, depending on the type of school that you go to. Now, you've all heard of Tennessee Promise. And if we still have Tennessee Promise by the time that you're a senior, this is how it would look. Your deadline date will be November 1st of 2018. So the fall semester of your senior year, you'd have to apply. You want to make sure you go to TennesseePromise.gov. You would have to complete that should be the 1920 FAFSA by February 15th of 2019. You need to attend 2 mandatory meetings. One will be before March 1st, the other one will be before May 31st. And then you have 8 hours of community service that you have to complete from January 1st and August 1st of 2019. If you do all that, you'll be promised. So the way the Tennessee Promise works is that it's a last dollar tuition and mandatory fee scholarship that you can use at a community college and some four-year universities that have associate degree programs. However, if you use it at a four-year university, it does not cover the full tuition. At a community college, it does cover the full tuition. At a TCAT, it will cover the full tuition. But at a four-year university, it only covers part of it, okay? This example that I'm about to show you is as if you're going to a community college. So let's say the tuition at a community college is $4,000 per year. It's a last dollar scholarship after the Pell Grant, TAILS is actually the Hope Scholarship, and the TSAA, which is the state grant. So example A, this person is getting the full Pell Grant amount. That means they don't have a gap between what they're getting in those 3 programs and tuition. So that what they're getting in the 3 programs is covering the full tuition, so there's no gap. Therefore, Promise doesn't kick in, but they pay nothing in tuition. Student B is getting the Hope Scholarship at the community college, and that's it, out of those 3 programs. So there's a $1,000 gap. Promise kicks in $1,000, and that student B is still not paying anything for tuition. Student C is getting nothing out of those 3 programs. So therefore, there's a $4,000 gap. Promise kicks in $4,000, and that student still pays nothing for tuition. Now remember, this covers tuition and mandatory fees. If there's fees based upon the type of major that you go into, you have to pay those. You're responsible for those. For your books, supplies, travel expenses, things like that, you're responsible for those. Other scholarships and other financial aid could cover that. Other grants could cover that cost. But first, the Pell Grant, the Hope Scholarship, or the Walter Nafee, or the TSA grant will kick in to the tuition and fees first, and then whatever's left over out of tuition and mandatory fees, Promise kicks in, okay? So hopefully this was informative. If you'd like to follow TSAC on Facebook, you can like us on Facebook. Just find us at the Tennessee Student Assistance Corporation. You can follow us on Twitter at TN Financial Aid, or you can check out our website at tn.gov/collegepays, or you can follow me. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at eFarmerTSACSE, or you can just search Eric Farmer and a bunch of them will come up. You can send me an email, you can send me a text message, or give me a call. Everything that you see on the screen is attached to my phone. So if you send me anything through Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, or text me, or give me a call, or send me an email, it comes to my phone and I will get it. And most of the time I have the phone next to me. If you come up with questions at late at night, don't be surprised if I answer you late at night. If you think of something late at night and I happen to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't be surprised if I give you an answer at 2 o'clock in the morning. But feel free to contact me, use me as a resource. Once again, thank you for listening, and if you got any questions, feel free to give me a holler. Thank you.